Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this talk all about the hidden power of the SERP. So what's this all about? Well, it's about you and your business and how it performs online. It's about Google, it's about your audience, and of course it's about the SERP landscape. And ultimately, it's about the importance of reading the SERP landscape and revealing the messages and the opportunities within it. And it's all about opening as many doorways as possible into your online ecosystem. And along the way, I'm hoping to dispel a couple of myths as well. Firstly, is it possible to have an answer card and a classic link or even more on page one? Well, we'll find out. And secondly, the zero-click argument. Do we even need to worry about it? Okay, let's get right into it. I've divided the talk into three parts. The first part I've actually contained into one slide. The power of the SERP, it really is incredible. Part two, the missed opportunity. Originally, I'd call that where we're going wrong. But it's not that we're going wrong. It's simply the fact that we are missing a huge opportunity by not looking closely at the SERP. Finally, the question we're so often asked as SEOs, are we on page one? It's time that we push back and said, no, that's the wrong question. The question that we need to be asked, I'm going to come on to in that final part. So let's get into the power of the SERP, that first bit. And I'm using this one slide to really demonstrate what it's all about and what this data is and where it comes from. So we've got three elements here. We've got businesses, that's you. We've got your audience and we've got Google, okay? And I'm referring to Google, other search engines of course are out there. But what are businesses doing? Well, they're creating content in all forms, long form, short form, PLPs, PDPs, images, videos, social content as well. And why are we creating content? Well, we're creating content so that we can connect with our audience. And then we've got our audiences. What are they doing? Well, they're searching for content. And crucially, they're searching with intent. And in fact, every time somebody picks up a phone, just like this, and searches, Google would actually call that an intent-fueled micro moment. And as a business, it's super important that we try to identify these micro moments and make sure that our content is connecting with our audience at that time, thereby opening multiple doorways. And then we've got Google. What is Google doing? Well, Google is actually indexing, ranking our content and trying to work out which content is the best match for the intent of the audience. And the relationship with Google and the audience or the searcher is super interesting, and there's some magic happening there. Google's obviously trying to return a SERP that matches their intent, but also Google is monitoring and watching how we're searching, how we refine our search criteria, and it's actually taking that information and serving it up in the form of related searches. Super important. I'll come on to that in a little bit. But what about the missed opportunity? What exactly is it? Well, we're all guilty sometimes of taking an inside-out approach rather than an outside-in when it comes to shaping content. What do we need to be doing? Well, we need to be considering other things like our competitors, our audience, our own ecosystem, and the search landscape. Let's take a look and see where we're going wrong. We often start with a topic or an idea. We build out content using what we have, maybe copying what we did last year. We then SEO it, optimize it, publish it, and then somebody says, well, how's it doing? Are we on page one? So we take a look at search data to see exactly how we are performing. But that's so wrong. It's so wrong for two reasons. What we need to be doing is taking that search data, taking that landscape data and using it right up front. Because what's that going to do? Well, it's going to help us understand our audience better and answer some key questions like, what are they looking for? What questions are they asking? I think people also ask. What are they thinking? And of course, that's heavily influenced by what content are they consuming. We need to understand about our competitors. We need to understand the SERP landscape. And when we start to understand all of these pieces of the jigsaw, we are so much closer to being able to create an intent-led content strategy. So I said this approach is wrong for two reasons. Let's take a look at the first reason. The SERP itself is a reflection of intent. And there's no doubt about it that over the past 10 or 15 years, Google has worked hard to become the world's largest database of human intent. And this intent changes, okay? And there's a really important fact to bear in mind here, that Google itself admits that a huge number of people don't know exactly what they're looking for when they start a search journey. And journey is the operative word here. So what do? They start with a broad term and they refine their searches. And that's why Google introduced related searches as a feature within a SERP. So I've got an example for you, and I think we'll all relate to examples like this. It starts off with a query. What am I looking for? Men's aftershave. Okay, is that my intent? Not really, no. My intent is actually an aftershave in a nice box that actually smells nice, that other people are going to like, that isn't too expensive. That's kind of my intent, but I don't really know what I want when I start. Just as the same would happen if I walked into a store looking for aftershave. I'd probably just stand around for a while waiting for some help or some assistance. So if I do this search in Google, what does the search landscape look like? Well, here it is. You'll see some familiar brands there. The perfume shop, Boots, fragrance shop, Superdrug, etc. 100% retailers. Yeah, we've got some ads, we've got some images, and we got people also ask. But overall, it's a pretty dull SERP. So what if I don't click on one of these? What if I was in a store or in a shopping mall and faced with all of these? Would I know where to go? No, this doesn't really satisfy my intent. And what if somebody came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, sir, would you like the best-selling men's aftershave?" Enter related searches. It's parallel to the real world. This is designed for people like me. This, if I click on that, it's called by the SEO community a zero-click search result, but it's not a zero-click. It's just zero-click on a website. There's plenty of clicking going on, but that seems to be ignored when people are talking about the 60% zero-click. So if I click on that, how does this change the landscape? Let's take a look. It's dramatically different. We've still got 4 ads, only 60% retailers, and 6 of the original retailers have gone. We've got more images, we've now got video, we've got more people also ask, and we've got double related searches. Who's performing strongly there? We got some great Condé Nast brands, GQ and Glamour. Further down, we've got The Sun, we've got Men's Health. We're seeing a much more informational SERP. This is probably more closely aligned with my intent, and that's why I believe really strongly that you cannot pin intent on keywords. Intent can be described by the search landscape. So I'm liking this. So I'm just about to go in one of these doorways when somebody comes up behind me, taps me on my shoulder and said, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I know you're looking for an aftershave, but what if I was to offer you the best men's aftershave of all time?" It's the second click that's not seen as a click. It's seen as a zero click, but it's a click. If people weren't clicking on these, they wouldn't be in the landscape. It's my search journey. Search is not about trophy terms and big keywords. This is a journey. What happens when I click on that? The landscape changes even more. We've got one original retailer there. We've got the perfume shop, and how have they got through to this stage? Because they have some wonderful informational content in the form of a blog. The SERP itself is richer. We've got fewer ads, we've got better answer cards, we've got videos now with more key moments and double related searches. This is a SERP that matches my intent, which has very little to do with that original query that I put in. Super important, the takeout here is that if you've got a bank of keywords that you're tracking, you need to think about those related searches. You also need to think about the people also ask feature, okay? Because all of these terms, queries, and questions are either questions that people are asking, or they're questions that Google believes your audience has on their minds. That intelligence and insight is like gold dust. So that's the first reason. The SERP is a reflection of intent, and it changes, and search is a journey. Secondly, things change. What changes? Competitors change, people change, intent changes, the landscape changes. I'm going to go back to last year. We're looking at 2 web radar charts, and we're looking at the search landscape for best beauty products. The big difference between October 2020 and October 2021, in pink there, the video in the form of the YouTube carousel practically vanished from the SERP. People also ask, is still super strong and providing insight, but this radar view says to me, well, if I was relying on video being a doorway into my world in October 2020, it's no longer working in October 2021. Those beauty vloggers have lost a significant amount of traffic. So what's the reason for this? Well, the reason can be tied down to the date when all of this happened. We dive into the matrix here, and regardless of which best beauty term we were using, the video carousel dropped out of the SERP landscape around the 8th of April, and certainly between the 8th and the 23rd. What happened here? Well, it was the product review update. Was it a coincidence? Maybe. But were those videos recorded by beauty vloggers ticking all the boxes in Google's requirements for product reviews? You can guess for yourself, but the ones I looked at absolutely were not. Let's look at the drop here. It wasn't just beauty, it was multiple categories of best of terms. Best makeup, best beauty, best tech, and best house stuff. So I said that the SERP landscape changes, and that's why we need to focus on it. That's why every content producer needs to be looking at the features that appear within the SERP landscape. So I told some of this story to a small audience last year, and I kind of left them hanging with the question, what happened next? Let's move forward 10 months and let's take a look at the search landscape. What's happened to that best video content? Well, it's back and it's bigger than ever. We've now got the carousel there back at 70%, but we've also got 45% of video links, and we're looking at thousands of best beauty search terms here. Interestingly, people also ask is up. Google believes that people have more questions on their minds when it comes to this best beauty content. So who's winning? Whose videos are within that 70%? Who is performing really well right now? It's not the same video producers as before. I'll tell you who it is. It's the video creators who are answering the questions that are found in the People Also Ask feature. And here's such a great example. How should you apply moisturizer? Okay, look at that first key moment. How to apply moisturizer correctly. Another People Also Ask, should eye cream be applied before or after moisturizer? I've got absolutely no idea. But this video creator, this happens to be Vogue France, in frame 2 is talking about, should I use eye cream and the best eye cream, etc. Time and time again, the video creators that are winning are the ones who answer those questions, because let me remind you, those are the questions that Google believes your audience have on their minds. They are shaping content that Google believes is a better match for intent. Let's take a look at the chart to see video coming back up. So video is back up within the Google search results for best beauty products, and I looked at thousands of them. Not so much for house stuff, for furniture, not so much for tech and gadgets, because Google's looking for something else there. Images, super important. Long form content, super important. Haven't got time to go into it right now, but here we start to see that what Google is looking for varies by category. The features vary by category, by subcategory, and by search term. That's why we need to look at the search landscape. And that's why, hopefully after today, we're no longer going to be asking the question or be asked the question, are we on page 1? And if anyone asks you that question, you can just say, stop, stop. Don't ask me that. The question you need to be asking me is, how many doorways have we opened on page 1? And then that's when you start to hear these rumors from the search landscape, not from the search landscape, or rumors from SEO people that say, well, if you get an answer card, you can't have a classic link, and then you just get a 0 click and nobody's going to win. But there was some really interesting research done by Nielsen Norman, okay? And this study revealed, and if you can find this just by searching for Nielsen Norman pinball study, but it revealed that as we move from a classic blue link SERP to a really rich SERP, the tracking pattern of the eye changes as we move away from that golden triangle to much more something like a pinball. And the study revealed that position 1 actually got 50% fewer clicks because people are now clicking elsewhere on the page. So the $64 million question is, can we target multiple doorways on page 1 of Google? Because there are rumors that you can't. So about a year ago, I found this wonderful example here of a fashion reseller who actually managed to get an answer card and a classic link and a video. Okay, so I thought, well, there must be a pattern. How do people do this? So I started doing some research and found the first most obvious way of doing this is to have an answer card and a classic link. Now the classic link, of course, that the answer card comes from becomes invisible, okay? So how have we got this classic link there? Well, it's a related page that is not in danger of conflict, okay, and is linked from one to the other and vice versa, using relevant anchor text, sometimes actually using the anchor text, and people also ask. Question here, what happens when Google pulls that answer card away? Because answer cards come and answer cards go. The answer, a beautiful nested classic. So then I started looking and I found hundreds of these. This is Healthline, by the way, who not only tick all of those boxes for eat, but they do so much more. I went away and I found hundreds of examples of businesses that do this accidentally, but you could be doing it on purpose. You can go one step further and do this. Look at these guys. Query, how to wear a suit without a tie. Answer box, video link, classic link, images, related searches. They're literally answering all the questions within people also ask. This is genius. I suspect this was an accident. But when you look at how they do it, they're just super good at connecting the elements of their ecosystem together. This is really possible. That's why we need to stop asking the question, are we on page 1? Okay, so my final takeouts. I wanted to go into so much more detail. So if you have any questions on this, then feel free to reach out to me. But you begin everything with the SERP landscape, okay? Utilize people also ask, the mind of the searcher, and think beyond the primary search term. Remember the aftershave example? Okay, 0 click is not 0 click because people are clicking on related searches within the SERP to get to their destination, which is more of a match for intent. And finally, look for feature opportunities. Okay, Before I go, just one final note. There's loads more stuff like this in my newsletter, and I've got loads of webinars coming up this year. You can find it online, just search for SEO in the Shed. Sign up to the newsletter. So for now, I just want to say enjoy your day. Thank you so much for watching this.